Question 1. Officer Chen responded to a reported disturbance at a local restaurant. Upon arrival, he observed two individuals arguing loudly near the bar. One individual, later identified as Mr. Smith, appeared agitated and was shouting profanities. The other individual, Ms. Davis, stood calmly but looked visibly upset. There were no signs of physical altercation, but several patrons seemed uncomfortable and were attempting to leave. Based on the passage, which of the following is most likely true regarding Ms. Davis? A. She initiated the argument with Mr. Smith. B. She was actively participating in the shouting. C. She was a victim of verbal aggression from Mr. Smith. D. She was an uninvolved bystander observing the dispute. Answer: C. She was a victim of verbal aggression from Mr. Smith. The passage states Mr. Smith was shouting profanities and appeared agitated, while Ms. Davis stood calmly but looked visibly upset. This contrast suggests Mr. Smith was the aggressor, and Ms. Davis was reacting to his behavior, indicating she was likely the recipient of his verbal aggression. Understanding these subtle clues in written descriptions is essential for accurate comprehension. It is important to infer meaning from the provided details rather than making assumptions. Question 2. In a police report, an officer noted that the suspect exhibited erratic behavior. What does erratic most closely mean in this context? A. Calm and composed. B. Predictable and steady. C. Unpredictable and inconsistent. D. Polite and cooperative. Answer: C. Unpredictable and inconsistent. The word erratic describes behavior that is irregular, inconsistent, or unpredictable, often characterized by a lack of a regular pattern or movement. In a police report, using this term signifies that the suspect's actions were not stable or expected, which can be an important observation. Understanding precise vocabulary, especially adjectives used to describe observations, is crucial for clear and accurate report writing. Remember that words like erratic suggest a departure from typical or expected conduct. Question 3. Choose the sentence that is grammatically correct and most clearly written. A. The officer seen the suspect flee the scene. B. The officer saw the suspect fleeing the scene. C. Seeing the suspect flee the scene was what the officer did. D. The officer did see the suspect having fled the scene. Answer: B. The officer saw the suspect fleeing the scene. This sentence uses the correct past tense form of the verb to see, saw, and properly uses the present participle, fleeing, to describe an ongoing action witnessed by the officer. Option A uses seen incorrectly without a helping verb, while C is grammatically awkward and wordy, and D uses an unnecessarily complex and less precise verb tense. Clear and concise grammar ensures that police reports are easily understood and accurately convey information. Aim for direct and grammatically sound sentence structures in all written communication. Question 4. Which statement best reflects an objective observation for a police report? A. The suspect looked guilty and suspicious. B. The suspect's shifty eyes indicated deceit. C. The suspect was nervous, fidgeting constantly. D. The suspect repeatedly avoided eye contact and shifted his weight. Answer: D. The suspect repeatedly avoided eye contact and shifted his weight. An objective observation focuses on verifiable actions and sensory details rather than interpretations or assumptions. Options A, B, and C include subjective judgments: guilty, suspicious, deceit, nervous, that cannot be directly proven. Option D, however, describes specific, observable behaviors, avoiding eye contact, shifting weight, that an officer can directly witness and document without inferring internal states. Accurate and objective reporting is fundamental in law enforcement, ensuring reports are based on facts. Question 5. An officer is dispatched to a call about a barking dog complaint. Upon arrival, the officer hears a dog barking incessantly from inside a house but observes no other suspicious activity. What is the most appropriate initial action? A. Immediately attempt to gain entry to the house. B. Leave a notice on the door and clear the call. C. Knock on the door and attempt to make contact with residents. D. Call animal control and wait for their arrival. Answer: C. Knock on the door and attempt to make contact with residents. For a non-emergency complaint like a barking dog with no other suspicious circumstances, the most appropriate initial action is to attempt to make contact with the residents in a non-intrusive manner. Gaining entry without consent or exigent circumstances would be unlawful, and simply leaving a notice or immediately calling animal control bypasses a crucial first step in resolving the issue directly. Prioritizing de-escalation and lawful contact is a key aspect of police procedure. Always seek to resolve issues at the lowest possible level of intervention. Question 6. A police report describes an individual as apprehensive. Which of the following words is the closest synonym for apprehensive? A. Fearful. B. Eager. C. Brave. D. Confident. Answer: A. Fearful. The word apprehensive means uneasy or fearful about something that might happen. It suggests a feeling of anxiety or dread regarding a future event or outcome. When an officer describes an individual as apprehensive, it implies they are expressing a level of concern or fear. Understanding synonyms helps ensure clear and precise communication in law enforcement documentation. Remember that being apprehensive usually involves a feeling of dread or unease. Question 7. Community policing emphasizes the proactive building of relationships between law enforcement agencies and the communities they serve. This approach aims to reduce crime and disorder by addressing root causes and fostering mutual trust. It involves officers engaging directly with citizens, attending community meetings, and collaborating on problem-solving initiatives rather than solely relying on reactive responses to incidents. What is the primary goal of community policing as described in the passage? A. To increase the number of arrests made by officers. B. To respond quickly to all reported incidents. C. To build trust and prevent crime through proactive engagement. D. To replace traditional law enforcement methods entirely. Answer: C. To build trust and prevent crime through proactive engagement. The passage clearly states that community policing aims to reduce crime and disorder by addressing root causes and fostering mutual trust, and involves proactive building of relationships and engaging directly with citizens. These phrases directly support the idea that the primary goal is to build trust and prevent crime through proactive involvement, rather than solely focusing on reactive responses or arrests. Understanding the core philosophy of community policing is crucial for new officers. Focus on the overall purpose conveyed by the text, which often involves the long-term benefits of collaboration. Question 8. Choose the sentence that uses correct punctuation. A. The witness stated, he saw the car turn right at the intersection. B. The witness stated, he saw the car turn right at the intersection. C. The witness stated, he saw the car turn right at the intersection. D. The witness stated, he saw the car turn right at the intersection. Answer: A. The witness stated, he saw the car turn right at the intersection. This sentence correctly uses a comma to introduce a direct quotation and places the period inside the closing quotation mark, which is standard English punctuation for a complete sentence. Option B incorrectly omits the comma, and C incorrectly omits the quotation marks entirely. Option D incorrectly places a comma inside the quotation when it is not part of the original quote. Proper punctuation ensures clarity and accuracy in written reports, preventing misinterpretation of critical information. Always remember the rules for direct quotes: comma before, period inside. Question 9. Which sentence is the most concise and clear? A. At this point in time, the suspect did proceed to make an utterance. B. The suspect then proceeded to make an utterance. C. The suspect then spoke. D. Subsequent to this, the suspect engaged in verbal communication. Answer: C. The suspect then spoke. The most concise and clear sentence conveys information using the fewest possible words without sacrificing meaning. Options A, B, and D use verbose and formal language like, at this point in time, proceeded to make an utterance, and, engaged in verbal communication, which can be simplified. The suspect then spoke delivers the same information directly and efficiently, which is a hallmark of effective police report writing. Strive for direct and simple language to improve clarity in all communications. Question 10. An officer observed a suspect behaving in a furtive manner. Which of the following words is the closest antonym for furtive? A. Obvious. B. Stealthy. C. Secretive. D. Concealed. Answer: A. Obvious. The word furtive describes actions or behaviors done in a stealthy, secretive, or surreptitious way, often to avoid attention or detection. Therefore, its closest antonym would be a word that describes something done openly or clearly. Obvious accurately conveys the opposite of being hidden or secretive. Understanding antonyms strengthens vocabulary and allows for precise descriptions in law enforcement contexts. When thinking about opposites, consider the core meaning of the original word. Question 11. When documenting a crime scene, which detail is most crucial for a police report? A. The officer's personal feelings about the crime. B. Speculation about the suspect's motive. C. Measurable distances and specific descriptions of evidence. D. Opinions from bystanders about what might have happened. Answer: C. Measurable distances and specific descriptions of evidence. The most crucial details for a police report documenting a crime scene are objective, factual observations that can be verified and used in an investigation or court. Measurable distances and specific descriptions of evidence provide concrete data about the scene, which is essential for reconstruction and analysis. Personal feelings, speculation, or unsubstantiated bystander opinions are subjective and can introduce bias or inaccuracies, making them inappropriate for a factual report. Always prioritize verifiable facts when documenting an incident. Question 12. An officer receives a gift from a grateful citizen after helping them with a non-emergency situation. The department's policy states officers should not accept gifts that could be perceived as influencing their duties. What is the most appropriate action for the officer? A. Accept the gift discreetly, as it was a small token of appreciation. B. Politely decline the gift and explain department policy. C. Accept the gift and report it to a supervisor later. D. Accept the gift but donate it to a charity immediately. Answer: B. Politely decline the gift and explain department policy. Adhering to department policy and ethical standards is paramount for a law enforcement officer. Even if well-intentioned, accepting gifts can create a perception of influence or favoritism, undermining public trust. The most appropriate action is to politely but firmly decline the gift and briefly explain the department's policy, maintaining transparency and professionalism. Upholding ethical guidelines helps preserve the integrity of the police force. Always prioritize compliance with policy to avoid even the appearance of impropriety. Question 13. The new patrol car, a Model XYZ, is equipped with a high-definition dash camera capable of recording 360-degree video. It also features an integrated license plate reader and a GPS tracking system. The vehicle's engine is a V6, offering improved fuel efficiency compared to previous models, and it has enhanced siren and lighting systems for increased visibility. What type of engine does the Model XYZ patrol car have? A. A V8 engine. B. An electric engine. C. A V6 engine. D. The passage does not specify. Answer: C. a V6 engine. The passage explicitly states, the vehicle's engine is a V6, offering improved fuel efficiency compared to previous models. This is a direct factual detail provided within the text. Reading comprehension questions often test the ability to locate specific information presented in a passage without relying on outside knowledge or making inferences. Carefully scanning the text for keywords and direct statements is key to answering such questions accurately. Question 14. Which word most accurately describes a statement made under oath in court? A. Testimony. B. Affidavit. C. Declaration. D. Statement. Answer: A. Testimony. Testimony is the specific legal term for a formal written or spoken statement made under oath in a court of law or other legal proceeding. While an affidavit is a written statement made under oath and a declaration is also a formal statement, testimony specifically refers to statements given in a court or hearing. Statement is a general term that does not necessarily imply being under oath in court. Understanding precise legal terminology is important for effective communication in the justice system. Question 15. Identify the sentence with correct subject-verb agreement. A. The group of officers was dispatched to the scene. B. The group of officers were dispatched to the scene. C. Several witnesses was interviewed by the detective. D. Neither the suspect nor his accomplice were found. Answer: A. The group of officers was dispatched to the scene. In this sentence, group is a singular collective noun acting as the subject, so it requires a singular verb, was dispatched. Even though officers is plural, it is part of a prepositional phrase, of officers, and does not determine the verb agreement. Options B uses a plural verb with a singular collective noun. Option C incorrectly uses was with the plural subject, witnesses. Option D is incorrect because neither, nor with two singular subjects requires a singular verb. Correct subject-verb agreement is essential for clear and grammatically sound police reports. Question 16. To maintain impartiality in a police report, an officer should avoid: A. Using direct quotes from witnesses. B. Including the time and date of events. C. Expressing personal judgments or opinions. D. Describing the emotional state of victims. Answer: C. Expressing personal judgments or opinions. Maintaining impartiality in a police report means presenting facts objectively, without bias or personal interpretation. Using direct quotes and including factual details like time and date are essential for accuracy and completeness. Describing observable emotional states of victims can be factual, as long as it's an observation rather than an opinion. However, expressing personal judgments or opinions introduces bias and can undermine the credibility of the report. Police reports must remain neutral, focusing solely on verifiable information. Question 17. If all police officers are trained in first aid, and Officer Rodriguez is a police officer, then A. Officer Rodriguez might be trained in first aid. B. Officer Rodriguez is trained in first aid. C. Only Officer Rodriguez is trained in first aid. D. First aid training is optional for Officer Rodriguez. Answer: B. Officer Rodriguez is trained in first aid. This is a classic example of deductive reasoning. If the first premise, all police officers are trained in first aid, is true, and the second premise, Officer Rodriguez is a police officer, is also true, then the conclusion that Officer Rodriguez must be trained in first aid logically follows. This demonstrates the ability to draw certain conclusions from given factual statements, a key skill in problem-solving and critical thinking. Deductive reasoning ensures that logical inferences are made from established facts. Question 18. Which word has the most negative connotation? A. Inquired. B. Demanded. C. Questioned. D. Asked. Answer: B. Demanded. Connotation refers to the emotional associations or implications of a word beyond its literal meaning. While inquired, questioned, and asked are relatively neutral terms for requesting information, demanded implies a forceful, authoritative, or aggressive way of asking. It carries a negative connotation because it suggests a lack of politeness or a forceful assertion of a right. Understanding connotation helps officers choose precise language that accurately reflects the tone and nature of an interaction. Question 19. First, the responding officer secured the perimeter. Next, medical personnel assessed the injured party. Following the medical assessment, crime scene investigators documented the scene. Finally, the evidence was collected and logged. What action occurred immediately after the perimeter was secured? A. Evidence was collected. B. Crime scene investigators documented the scene. C. Medical personnel assessed the injured party. D. The injured party was transported. Answer: C. Medical personnel assessed the injured party. The passage clearly outlines a sequence of events. It states, first, the responding officer secured the perimeter. Next, medical personnel assessed the injured party. The word next indicates the immediate subsequent action after the perimeter was secured. Reading comprehension questions often test the ability to follow a precise order of operations or events. Carefully identifying transition words like first, next, following, and finally is crucial for understanding sequence. Question 20. Which phrase is most precise for a police report? A. The individual seemed upset. B. The individual displayed signs of distress. C. The individual was visibly agitated, pacing rapidly and clenching fists. D. The individual had emotional problems. Answer: C. The individual was visibly agitated, pacing rapidly and clenching fists. Precision in a police report means providing specific, observable details that allow others to visualize what occurred. Options A, B, and D are vague or interpretive, using subjective terms like upset, distress, or emotional problems, without describing the specific behaviors observed. Option C offers concrete, verifiable actions, pacing rapidly, clenching fists, that indicate agitation, allowing for a more accurate and objective record. Detailed factual observations are crucial for credible and effective documentation. Question 21. An officer is on patrol and simultaneously receives two calls, one for a non-injury vehicle collision and another for a loud music complaint. Which call should the officer prioritize based on typical law enforcement protocols? A. The loud music complaint, as it directly impacts quality of life. B. The non-injury vehicle collision, to clear traffic quickly. C. Neither, as both are non-emergency and can wait. D. The non-injury vehicle collision, as it potentially involves a public safety hazard. Answer: D. The non-injury vehicle collision, as it potentially involves a public safety hazard. In law enforcement, calls are prioritized based on the potential for immediate danger to life, safety, or property. While a loud music complaint impacts quality of life, a vehicle collision, even without injuries, can still pose a public safety hazard by obstructing traffic, creating secondary collisions, or involving damaged vehicles that require immediate attention. Prioritizing the collision ensures the scene is made safe and traffic flow is restored quickly, minimizing further risks. Understanding call prioritization is a key aspect of operational judgment. Question 22. Choose the sentence with the correct use of apostrophes. A. The witness's statement was crucial. B. The witness statement was crucial. C. The witness's statement was crucial. D. The witness statement was crucial. Answer: A. The witness's statement was crucial. For singular nouns ending in s, or most singular nouns that do not end in s, the possessive form is created by adding an apostrophe and an s, example witnesses, dogs, childs. Option D is an older or alternative style sometimes used for names ending in S, but witnesses is the more common and generally accepted rule. Options B and C are grammatically incorrect. Correct apostrophe usage is vital for clear and professional written communication in official reports. Question 23. What is a stipulation in a legal context? A. A formal accusation of a crime. B. A condition or requirement specified in an agreement. C. A legal judgment or decision. D. An appeal of a court ruling. Answer B. A condition or requirement specified in an agreement. In a legal context, a stipulation refers to a formal agreement between opposing parties in a legal proceeding, often concerning a specific point or fact, which typically has legal binding force. It's a condition, requirement, or term agreed upon, usually to simplify or expedite the legal process. Understanding such legal terminology is crucial for officers interacting with the judicial system and understanding court processes. A stipulation is essentially an agreement to certain terms. Question 24. To avoid bias in a police report, an officer should primarily focus on A. Personal opinions about the individuals involved. B. The officer's assumptions about motives. C. Verifiable facts and observations. D. Unsubstantiated rumors from bystanders. Answer C. Verifiable facts and observations. To maintain objectivity and avoid bias, a police report must be based strictly on verifiable facts and direct observations. Personal opinions, assumptions about motives, or unsubstantiated rumors introduce subjectivity and can lead to inaccurate or unfair representations. An officer's role is to document what happened, not to interpret or speculate. Focusing on factual evidence ensures the report is credible and defensible. Always prioritize objective data to ensure the integrity of your reports. Question 25. A dispatcher informs an officer that a suspect, described as wearing a blue jacket and red hat, was last seen running north from 123 Main Street. The officer is currently south of 123 Main Street. In which direction should the officer travel to intercept the suspect most efficiently? A. South. B. East. C. West. D. North. Answer D. North. To intercept a suspect who was last seen running north from a specific location, an officer who is currently south of that location must travel north. Traveling north will bring the officer closer to the suspect's last known direction of travel and location, enabling a more efficient interception. This question tests basic spatial reasoning and the ability to apply directional information to a practical scenario. Always consider your current position relative to the suspect's last known movement.